In practical terms, for the people using MicroEye and Continuum on a day-to-day basis, they'll notice quite a big change in the way they collect blood and blood results. At the moment, that's a pretty much manual process. Somebody has to go to the patient every time you want one. And really with this, once it's put in when the patient's admitted or when the patient needs it, you're not going to have to constantly go back to it. So anybody who's caring for the patient can spend their time doing that. We simply insert the device into the patient via an existing 18-gauge catheter. It sits in a peripheral vein. We find a way to pump fluid through it to a flow cell and sensor chip that give us a result, and then we use a device to transmit it away. All this is small enough to be very simple to use. It also has a very low capital cost, so it's not a big expense to get started. More importantly, probably, that monitoring continuously can go on as the patient goes from intensive care to a high dependency bed on a ward and ultimately into a general ward. What the product will offer is an automated way of getting the data you need. You know that you need to collect the blood data and you know the reasons why. You fully understand the therapies that are associated with it. What you don't need is hours spent just making holes in patients to get some blood out to write down a result. Just get it automated, get it continuous, and it's there at your fingertips every time you need it. If you wanted a really big, frightening number, then from Vanderburger's work on intensive insulin therapy, her paper suggested that there was a saving of 2,300 euros or thereabouts per patient. Just multiply that by 10 million patients in intensive care and think how big that number is for a moment. If Vanderburger's work was borne out in terms of its cost saving just for monitoring the patient's glucose and controlling it, then we'd have 23 billion euros. It would be vast. And we can all debate as to whether that's the right number, but it's clearly going to be some form of big saving when you apply it to that many patients. Probe has developed MicroEye and Continuum on over a number of years, building in a lot of reliability features. We've done hundreds of volunteer studies to ensure that the device works in practice. Consequently, any nurse using our device in a clinical environment in intensive care can be confident that they get the results they need without constantly having to refer back to the device. And we've also spent time ensuring that the device works for a continual period of 48 hours and that it will continue to do so. We also have all the regulatory standards in place to be able to operate for up to 48 hours. This could revolutionise the way that blood results are taken. Imagine only doing less than a third of the current blood tests you do, or less than 10%, or only 5%. Simply put it in, leave it alone and let it get on with the job while you get on with yours.